going to be a thing. See,
We're
this
gonna
is
do
the reason why I play that music. That's literally the reason why I play it. Okay, now we're live. Now I have to take down the old VOD.
Sorry?
I should have played the music. God damn it.
No.
And private that. There we go. If we have to restart, we are canceling the show. I'm sorry, but if I have to restart, that's my third notification. You only get 3 notifications a day. So if
Serious?
yeah, YouTube has like a notification like limit. So like the people who upload like 6 times a day or whatever,
Yeah.
they're like wasting 3 videos that they could do the next day because no one's gonna see it. It'll show up in the feed, but it'll show up like way lower. So like none of the notification goes through. But hi, everything. What? Why? What is going on? I think I know what it is. No, it's not that. Alright. Here's what we're gonna do. Start recording. There we go. If it's a complete mess after the upload, I'll just re-upload it the next day. It's the best I can do. Yeah. Welcome back to the Scuffed Cannaheads ND episode. It's a podcast, the latest in cannabis, local and national news, from now on, Monday at 9 to 9:30, depending on schedule. Typically we go for about an hour to an hour and a half. The reason for the change is because I need to get ready for my new job, so like this will work better. But yeah, my name is Phil.
I'm Anthony.
And,
Again.
Yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. For some reason, it just, yeah. Now it's better. It's better now. It's green box. I get the record button. That's the reason why. Because it's like, oh, you are fucking up. Nope, just drop down. Whatever. It will be fixed. I don't know. So yeah, welcome to the show,
We'll go
everybody.
till we can't. Okay.
Right. So yeah, if you like the podcasting news type episodes, be sure to listen to KRFF Radio Free Fargo on 95.9 on Thursdays, 4 to 5 p.m. With Wilson. The VOD of the video goes up the next day, or the same day that this happens. It goes up onto podcasting platforms, and then the next day is when the video form of it goes up on YouTube. That is possibly changing as well, but yeah, it's just, I gotta figure it out. I'm starting a new job, doing things that I actually like to do rather than bothering people about their oil changes. I'm not doing that anymore. Well, I'm not doing that anymore in 2 weeks. So yeah, but I should be good. He's pretty chill. I talk to him about everything. He knows everything. So like, yeah, if anything, he'll just be asking me questions about video stuff and making me do video things for him, but I can do that just perfectly fine. But yeah, listen to the show. It's going to be on every single podcasting platform. So YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, and a bunch of other ones. It really helps us out to listen on anything, honestly. Any of that stuff is kind of connected together. So, yeah, it's totally cool. So yeah, let's get into the news. Yes, news. That's the things that we're good at. So
news.
The Biden Attorney General was basically the reason why I found this interesting. Let's just preempt this. House Bill 1420. During one of the hearings, the biggest thing that they were mostly afraid of is that if they legalize, that the federal government will step in and bust people. That was the excuse. It's obviously an excuse. It's obviously not an actual worry, because if it was, every single state would have this problem, and everybody would probably have worked to get it federally legalized. But state legalization works just as well sometimes. That, yeah. So the Jeff Sessions was the one that did the memo that was like, we're gonna bust you all. When they were talking about budgeting, nothing came of that. So the Biden Attorney General basically said that it's not a priority issue. The department's view on marijuana use is that enforcement against use is not a good use of our resources, Garland said. It's probably not a good use of our resources where it is regulated by the state. And again, I take it that it's not what you're asking about. He was talking about basically the like the big growers that are in illegal states, and talking about federal prosecution for them. But so to the extent you're asking for examples about transitional operations of large amounts coming from Mexico or transnational operations who are coming into the U.S. to do the growing, these certainly are within our jurisdiction and within our scope of concern. So he's basically saying that if you are growing in a not legalized state and trying to get it into other states, or if you're bringing it in from Canada or Mexico, that they're still going to be prosecuting people like that. But if you're growing, like if you're a medicinal provider and you're growing for medicinal use or recreational use, that they're not going to like bust down your door because you're in a legal state and you're doing something legally in that state. So that was really like the biggest, uh I would say the biggest knot in the whole 1040 or 1420 legalization of like, well, we can't really take this seriously because they're going to uh the federal government's going to jump in and we're going to be screwed anyway, so why waste our time type of a thing. This basically, I mean, this is this AG. The next president that comes in 4 to 8 years might be different. But for right now, that's a pretty good start. And all I have to say about that is, why not take that leap of faith right now? Because it's getting to the point that there's more states legalized than there are illegal. So in that circumstance, if it's more states that are legal than the rest of the ones that are illegal, maybe the federal government will see that, hey, even if they're against medicinal or recreational, maybe they can just focus on those people and kind of keep the thing going. So yeah, that's what I would say to that. But obviously, that's not what happened. So um, that's all I have to say to the people who are against it because it's federally illegal. Not to mention, I'm not saying it's probably going to be in this legislative session. It'll probably be in the next one. I can see pretty brightly that there is going to be at least talk about federal decriminalization. Whether or not that's going to be like a full on thing, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
Honestly, at this point, I'm so exasperated. I'm still feeling embarrassed by HB 1420. Or was that HB?
Yeah, it was HB 1420 was the
Yeah, yeah.
recreation, and 1045 was Delta 8, essentially.
Okay. But yeah, I'm still kind of reeling over the embarrassment of that. Like, it was just like you had somebody who wasn't even pro cannabis. You had like it's just such common sense of like, hey, you have these people that don't know what they're doing, that at some point may come close to modifying our constitution with something that we can't have anything to do, And like, let's be logical here. This is going to happen. We may as well take a sensible approach to it,
Right.
and do it on our terms. Piss that away. So it's like I'm loving watching states, especially Republican states, start rolling in cannabis legislation, because it's like we're usually pretty good at setting example, you know.
I think for certain issues, but I think
Yeah,
when it comes to like,
not cannabis, but
yeah,
I'm just saying like in other things, we're the state that it's like we're pretty self-sufficient, and if something makes sense, we usually roll with it. And it's like you're watching states that are hardcore red states that are starting to turn the tide on cannabis legalization before even we are.
Right. I
It's
mean, yeah,
embarrassing.
that's another thing as well that I noticed is there's actually another story about medicinal, that more states are going to be taking in medicinal for the first time.
Hmm.
And like we finally we got into the medicinal space, but and then with that came even more restrictions and changes, some for the good, some for the bad. We did get the expansion of the for the different reasons to have it, but yeah, when it comes to like setting an example, we're definitely not there. I don't know. It's I what I really want to see happen is, even if we don't go for like full legalization, because I guess 1420 just didn't go through, at least talking about expanding the medicinal a
Hmm.
little bit. And by expanding, I mean both in the grow scenario as well as the conditions. That was the word I was looking for, the conditions that are covered. Um, Although, I mean, even sitting right now, I would qualify for it. Uh, on the other hand of it, it's like really expensive to get going. And
It
I
is.
feel like that's
It's
the biggest barrier. Like that and finding a provider. I think it needs to be a lot. It should be better communicated that like maybe even by the state, like a federal, or not a federal, but like a state provider database type of a thing where you can find it locally. Um, I mean, right now, like in the U.S., if I wanted to find a pharmacy, I can Google pharmacy Grand Forks, and I
yeah.
can find the nearest pharmacy. Uh, Something like that. I know Leafly was a thing, but then Leafly got into a lot of shit for doing it. So I don't think many
Oh yeah,
people
weed
are.
maps.
Yeah, it was Weed Maps. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they got into a lot of shit for that. But on top of that, it's kind of self-inflicted there with like how they did oversight about it.
Yeah.
But like maybe providing that kind of framework. It's weird because like I sit down and I think, okay, well, like we live in a conservative leaning state, and a lot of things are very conservative, but like don't follow all of the aspects of conservatism or whatever that word is. Conservatism? Yeah, conservatism. So like we can tell that there's more, it's more central, but it's more just to the right. I don't know. It's weird, but I feel like maybe just make it easier and then people kind of be a little bit less like attacky over 1420 failing. Um, and on top of that, maybe I hate bringing it up, but 1045 was like fly by night type of a thing. No coverage in the news. I think there's one on the forum. I want to say Forum Communications did a story about it adding Delta 8 to it. But like there was really no coverage of it, and I feel like there would be a lot more people that would want to know why Delta 8's been made illegal. But yeah, I don't know. It very and on top of that, not only do we have that whole entire fight and the ND Freedom of Cannabis Act happening, on top of that, we also have a single subject ballot measure circulating as well. So like this is pretty much it for constitutional measures. Like, this is the only time. If it passes, this is literally the only time. If it fails, I mean, it could fail, but it really doesn't seem to be. It'll at least make it to the ballot. I can guarantee that. Um, there's a lot of money in that circle that they have there. And maybe I should also show what the single subject measure was. Um, yeah, there's a lot riding on it, and I fear that if it doesn't happen this, well, primary, or I don't know if they're going to go for primary. To be quite honest, I don't think the single subject rule will go in the primary. I'm pretty sure they're going for the general, um, just because they want more turnout. But at the same time, I mean, what they're asking for is kind of something you'd want to hide. So yeah, this is the measure. But basically, it would may not comprise more than one subject. And this is the thing, and this is the reason why I absolutely hate these types of measure or these types of laws. Is what does a single subject mean?
Hmm.
Because it means different things to different people. See South Dakota,
Right. That's my
Nebraska.
thing.
Yeah, single
Is
subject. Yeah, cannabis is a single subject.
that's
As
how I saw it.
yeah,
And it's like you would think that subject includes how to go about it, which would include taxing and regulation and stuff like that.
yeah. And on top of that, it's kind of nonsensical, this idea. Because no matter what it
Hmm.
is, no matter what changes you would, no matter what kind of measure would come up, I know one time, still a possibility of actually happening. I was gonna be possibly getting a right to repair measure out. This is probably the first time I've ever talked about it on stream. But a right to repair scenario has multiple different scenario or different things that it would change. So taxes, it would change availability for farming equipment. It would electronics, which is what my main interest was in that aspect. But I know it also has farming equipment. Um, I mean, you have it for cars, so like, why not have it for other things? And I know John Deere is the one that's again in farming. John Deere is like the Apple of tractors.
Yeah.
So, and they're like exactly like Apple in that like I I was looking at a friend, I was answering a question for a screen replacement for their phone, and replacing that screen would disable like True Tone, I guess, which is the color correction screen thing. Disable that because it's tied directly to the screen, the serial number of the screen. So
Hmm.
like a single subject measure, you'd only get half of it done. You literally get only half of the thing done, which is not what any voter would ever want, ever, because they usually have multiple questions. And yeah, like that's, yeah. So single subject, and also 60%. Um, if at least 60% of the votes cast on the constitutional amendment are affirmative, um, at least it doesn't have it going to the legislature to be re-voted on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 60% as well, and that's what 9% more. Yeah, 51%. Yeah, that's 9% more of votes that you would need. So yeah, and yeah, so this is a shot in the foot for anybody, just in general, conservative, liberal, any of that. This is a shot in the foot because I don't think anybody's ever considered the different avenues that mini laws um, affect. So the fact that this is going on rather than, possibly making legalization or medicinal even easier, or just wasting time on shit like this. Yeah, I don't know. Because we were talking about it. America's this is the one right below the hypernesis one.
Hmm.
Um, so there's marijuana medical advancing in the Republican-controlled legislatures of North Carolina, Alabama, and Kansas. And they were a reform advocate in Texas, um, which is also expanding, or which is working on expanding the medicinal program, is basically saying medical cannabis is where we see the most common ground between Democrats, Republicans, and independents. So it's a good thing. I'm hoping for the best. I wish they had listed out. This was on front page of Politico, by the way.
Really.
Yeah, like at least yesterday it was when I sent it. Um, but yeah, it was like right in the front. Like literally right here, which is insane. The top news story. But yeah, this is link. So yeah, Kentucky and Tennessee, I think they had died in there. But right now, North Carolina, Alabama, and Kansas expand medical programs in states like Texas and Louisiana. So there's a lot of movement there. None in Minnesota, or none in North Dakota, not Minnesota. Um, cannabis is already available in more than 230 million Americans for medicinal use. Um, 91% of residents believe that marijuana should be legal for that purpose, even in states without a medicinal program. Recent polls show the support topping 70% for at least medical. They've hesitated to follow suit, and even in a year when cannabis boosters saw big, broad wins, places like New York, New Jersey had legalized for recreationalized. Um, every state that does not have already a medicinal marijuana had something introduced this year. So that's another one. Most of them have died, fortunately. But yeah, we're hoping that if anything, at least get medicinal. Like that there's a lot of proof that it works medicinally. So which leads me perfectly into this clip, which was on Fox News. Tucker Carlson had basically said that this was the intro, but there was also an interview on top of that. I'm not gonna play the interview, but um, yeah, here's that clip, right?
What they're calling scromiting, an uncontrollable wave of screaming and vomiting.
I love him. That
No,
just
I
came
was
over
playing
and
the...
like put him right here in my face.
Oh, yeah, no, I played the clip. Essentially, this is actually a real thing called cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. Um, they called it scromiting, which is the compound of screaming and vomiting. So, essentially what they're really saying is, for some people, it's a genetic thing, and it's very rare, despite how things have been written out for a lot of people, or at least in studies and stuff like that. There's like
we
a
take a
genetic...
second to appreciate that I'm sober right now, and I looked at my Skype screen, and I see you highlighting the cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, and I'm like, huh, I want to look into that, and I tried to scroll.
I've done that
Sober.
too. I've done that in videos. Like I'd be just watching like full screen on YouTube. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. So essentially what it is, it's a genetic thing apparently. There's not really a lot known about the reasons, but the effect is basically for heavy smokers, at some point what they're believing to be is the endocannabinoid syndrome or endocannabinoid system is over stimulated and causes the person to throw up, essentially. So this was a thing that I saw like on Fox. I don't watch Fox, but I get a lot of crazy clips of Fox sent to me.
Twitter's a wild place, man.
Right? Yeah, Twitter is insane, but that's another thing is if you go on Twitter, okay, here's a little like life hack, Twitter hack, I don't know what to call it. If you're looking for news stories or you're looking for like to stay up to date about specific topics, don't use regular Twitter. Use TweetDeck. And TweetDeck lets you search and have just a auto updating bar that if you have your like keyword, if you type in cannabis, for instance, it will automatically populate every single time somebody on Twitter tweets the word cannabis. So you can kind of stay up to date with that. I mean, I don't use the word cannabis. I usually write developing and then cannabis. So it's 2 words that it's looking for, or news and cannabis. So it's not just everybody who says the word cannabis on Twitter shows up on my feed. It's like specific newsy type things. But yeah, this was the one that I heard, and that was the clip on Fox. It was Tucker Carlson, whatever you want to call him, who had basically made a piece about scromiting, and he had an anti-vaxxer go on. He says he's not an anti-vaxxer, but he's an anti-vaxxer. Go on and talk about how he broke this story, and then all of a sudden he broke the anti-vax story, and it was an entire thing. And that it causes psychosis in some people. Like, that's the shit that they were trying to push. But every single insane story that comes out of news has a seed of truth to it, and this is the seed of truth to that. Leads to repeated and severe bouts of vomiting. It's rare and only occurs in daily long-term users. I do not know a single person that this happens to. It might have happened to me, but I also think that's because I cough a lot, and that's what causes me to puke a lot. So I don't think I have it, but yeah, so this is kind of what it is. I used to smoke daily. I don't anymore, but I used to smoke daily. Then I stopped, started smoking spice, and ever since then, I can't smoke. But I'm totally for the actual idea of it. So in the brain, it often has the opposite effect. It prevents nausea and vomiting. And it's also good at stopping, those types of symptoms happening with people with chemo. So you would think that it would work, that this would make no sense, because it stops a lot of people from vomiting and also wanting to eat, and quality of life just greatly improves for people going through chemotherapy or anything like that. But in the digestive tract, they say it seems to have an opposite effect. It makes you more likely to have nausea and vomiting in some people. Again, rare. And the way that they're thinking of why it's happening is certain receptors in the brain may stop responding to the drug tolerance. That may cause the repeated bouts of vomiting found in people. It still isn't clear what actually causes it and why others don't. But there was a study, and this is the reason why I was like, okay, I read something on fucking, maybe this is a legitimate place. I read something on fucking Medline or something like that. The website that everybody goes to when they think that they have something, and then they go to a doctor. Yeah, like WebMD, and then they go to their doctor and say, hey, I Googled this, and it says that I'm going to die in an hour. And then they laugh at you, and they tell you to get the fuck out. So I found it on that, so I kind of, obviously, I'm going to double check that shit, because, like, yeah. So I found this study. It's from 2018, and this is the reason why I was like, okay, I kind of need to talk about this. So I'm going to read a sentence to you, and then I want you already know about this, but I want you to tell me what you take away from that sentence, and then I'm going to break down that sentence, and then we're going to figure out what it actually means. Because this is the thing that a lot of people, when they talk about this and how this is bad, and how this is a thing that, like, people need to, like, know about, and, this is the reason why cannabis is bad. This is the thing that they are citing, and this is the thing that they seem to be misunderstanding. So, among 2,127 patients approached for participation, 155 met inclusion criteria for smoking 20 or more days per month. Among those surveyed, 32.9% met our criteria for having experienced CHS, the cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. If this is extractable to the general population, approximately 2.75 million Americans may suffer annually from a phenomenon similar to CHS. So my question is, how many of the 2,127 patients, do you think they got the number of 32.9%?
Okay, I suck shit at math, so.
Well, just how many? Do you think it's 2,127 or 155?
Well, no, it says the 155 met the criteria as smoking for the 20 days or more. 32.9% of those met the criteria, so whatever 32.9% of 155.
Exactly, and that's what nobody is understanding.
I'm
They
gonna
say 32.9% of the 2,127 patients that they approached. So they're saying that this is a huge problem, when in reality it's 32.9% of 155 people.
51 people.
Yes. That's 51 of those people had this.
51 out of here we go.
Out of 2,127.
Okay. No, we only really care about the ones who include smoking the 20 or more. That's still 50 people. 51. My bad.
So, if we were to say everybody in the U.S., everybody in the U.S., that's this many people, right? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So 32.9%.
And then we want, what is the number? Oh my gosh, I can't read my tabs. So it's 32.9% of that.
What was the population again?
328.2 million, right? Million, not billion.
Yeah.
Yeah, million. You're probably Googling too, but that is 107 million people. So we're just going to round it up to 108 million people. That is if the entire world smoked, which is kind of difficult to say, but approximately 2.75 million, I highly doubt, because the amount of people that smoke is not the entire population of the United States.
Yep. So it's bad math. It's bad math to propagate.
Yeah. So that's where they get the whole scromiting thing. So yeah, that's kind of where I got that from. And I don't know, they also say like there's the qualifications was there was 11 relief symptom methods, and that's how they figured out if it was a scromiting event. Hot showers, classified as an experience of phenomenon consistent with CHS. So CHS causes you to take hot showers, apparently.
Fucking hygiene. Jesus Christ.
Could
you imagine how awful the world must be that people care about scrubbing their balls? God.
What?
You said it makes people take hot showers, and it's oh, my word, how fucking terrible is that?
Yeah, like I think this is the treatment side. Yeah. So there's multiple phases of this. So there's the predominal, not a doctor, I don't know these words. During this phase, the main symptoms are often early morning nausea, belly pain. So this is a multi-day event that happens to you. So like, which is weird because like the high is worn off and everything is worn off by that time. Like it's 3 days. Like, not how that works, but I guess half-lives. But some people also develop a fear of vomiting only when they have CHS, apparently. Do people have a fear of vomiting? So if you have a fear of vomiting, most people keep normal eating patterns during this time. Some people use more to stop the nausea. The phase may last for months or years. Okay? This is just such a broad thing, but symptoms during the hypermenetic, ongoing nausea, repeated episodes of vomiting, belly pain, decreased food intake, symptoms of dehydration. During this phase, it's often intense and overwhelming. Many people take a lot of hot showers during the day. That eases their nausea, apparently. Often seek medical care during this phase. And then the recovery, the symptoms go away, everything goes back to normal, and may come back if the person tries it again. And this is, like, I think the biggest sentence right here. It's not for everyone, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for me for a completely different reason than this. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't mean that it's the worst thing in the entire world.
Same.
Different people react differently to different things. Yeah, like, I know plenty of people that doesn't like kratom, for instance. Like, they can't take it because, like, they're a lot more sensitive to it, where if you take too much kratom, you get something called the wobbles, and they get instant wobbles no matter how much they take. They can take a gram, they get the wobbles. It's not for everybody. That's not to say that kratom, for instance, is bad. That's just life. That's the genes that you were dealt with. And then also the way that they diagnose it is weird. Basically, they say, have you smoked in the last month? Okay, and then you puked? Okay, CHS. There's really no way you can test for it. They'll do an exam of your belly, which is probably just to make sure that you don't have, like, ruptured, what's it called?
Like appendix?
Yeah, a ruptured appendix or something like that. You may have it if you have all of these. Long-term weekly. Weekly? What is a long-term weekly? Weekly use is not heavy at all. Daily is probably where you get it the most. Belly pain. You feel better after taking a hot shower. That's just, like, the weird part about all of this. But apparently it is actually a thing. Yeah, no single test that confirms this diagnosis. It is a thing. So I guess when people talk about, how there's bad things for cannabis, that I guess you can say that there's a severely rare situation that, yes, it might not be for you, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for everybody else. So yeah. And I wanted to do a new thing. I am going to take a random article because I totally, came prepared and didn't wake up at 2 p.m.
Definitely not.
No, certainly would never do that. Yeah, I guess let's talk about the Minnesota bill. Could absolutely pass full legislature if allows for a vote. This is what they said about 1420. I think it was the majority leader in Senate that said that he has a very high hope for this passing. But Minnesota is a much different ballgame. And they're being very thorough, and it's going through a lot of different committees. It's gone through 12 House panels. But the thing that they're not sure about is what's going to happen in Senate. But I feel like after it has gone through 12 House panels, you kind of have to. Like, you have, like, one of the biggest things that I feel like a lot of the bills that get killed in Senate or vice versa is it doesn't have enough information for them to come to a conclusion, and that's usually the cop-out. So I'm pretty sure 12, I think it has to go through 16 different things. It's insane. But it would allow adults 21 or older to purchase and possess up to 1.5 ounces and cultivate up to 8 plants, 4 of which could be mature. I'd like to move to Minnesota, is what I'm trying to say.
No shit, man. I had just about enough of this bullshit.
Right. Lucky me, I literally live within walking distance of Minnesota. So I definitely will be following North Dakota law and will not be purchasing anything from Minnesota or anything like that. I would never do that. And I never would tell anybody to do that. But that is a scenario that may play out for some people. Oh,
fuck.
I don't know, like, okay. We had Delta 8, which has harmed absolutely no one, and is very little known among people, and they're like, loophole, closing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the fuck? Also, my stream has gotten much better. I haven't dropped a single frame since about 20 minutes ago. So that's neat.
Now Phil says that out loud.
Right? It's even hitting 10 megabits. Oh,
Ooh,
just dropped down. It is dropped. I think it has to do with how YouTube is accepting. I think there's something wrong with YouTube. Very well happens. But yeah, it could absolutely pass. They're kind of worried it's going to not get voted off in Senate. And expunging existing cannabis offenses is a non-negotiable piece of the legalization bill. I very much highly agree with that, considering I have one. I mean, it's not going to help me much because I have another one for a completely different drug on top of that, but at least I can get rid of one.
Yeah.
I can explain to people that I was a stupid college kid is essentially what happened to me. And then when I was in trouble, I was still a stupid person and continued to want to use, and that was my story. And opiates came into my life, and that's why opiates suck. But yeah, so hopefully Minnesota.
It's like the best, worst time of your life, man.
Right? Yeah. Which, by the way, if anybody, I guess I might as well say this: if you are, stuck with opiates, can't get out, I'm not saying you should go cold turkey. You should not go cold turkey. That is not the right way to do it, because mentally you probably will want to go back, and it'll test you throughout the entire time that you're going through withdrawal. But at your nearest smoke shop, they sell kratom. This is my bag of kratom. I have plenty of it, but it's a powder. Take out a scale, put about 5 to 6 grams in cup, pour some water, let it dissolve, stir it up, and chug it, and you'll feel better. And slowly transition to just using kratom. So getting rid of some of your opiates and just slowly transition to it. And if you feel like kratom's not for you, then once you get to off of everything and you're kind of free and clear, also seek go to a meeting type of a thing, maybe even seek a doctor to figuring out where you should go next. Don't do
Don't be afraid to seek help.
Yeah. But if you're just trying to do it on your own and not have everybody know about it type of thing, again, meetings are, are anonymous. Switch to it. Kind of get yourself mentally leveled, and then you can cut off on kratom, just kind of slowly taper down, and yeah, you'll be at least off. What happens after is a completely different story, and that's what a support system is like. So I don't know why I got into that, but I mentioned
it's always
kratom,
beneficial information, man. It never hurts anybody to know that you don't have to be alone and you don't have to suffer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because we were talking about my shit. Yeah, that's literally what I say every single time. Like, I had a interview for this new job or whatever, and like it came to that question of, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And so that's how I explained it. Was like, I was stupid in college. I was stupid in college. That's exactly what happened. And then after I was kind of mad at the world, essentially, I was like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to my own body. So apparently, I'm gonna go get into this really, really highly addictive, the most addictive drug in the world, and went with that. And then issues happened because, of course, they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I kind of explained it in a little bit, funny way, whatever, just to kind of like lighten the mood that I'm just telling this dude I was a heroin addict at one point in my life.
Okay,
so,
we were
like,
all young and dumb at one point, you know?
yeah. Well, that was the thing, is like, once the way that I explained it, he's like, honestly, like, if anybody said it any other way, like, I would probably be questioning it, but like the way that he explained it made complete sense, and like I could see myself in that too. So, like, okay, I guess I win. But yeah. So yeah, sorry it was short. Um, but that's all I could really find that was interesting, and the thing that I really wanted to talk about was scromiting. Because yeah. And another thing that really got me interested in it is because you can search up like how often people Google things. So what I do of finding like interesting in the know type of a things is you go to Google search analytics. So I think it was called analytics. Or you can like see how, yeah, Google Trends, that's what it's called. So like I go to here, and then like you can see where people search for things. And if you go to cannabis, see like which states have it the most searched. And in here, this is like the related topics. And in here should be, maybe it's in this one. Maybe it dropped down. Yeah, it must have dropped down. What is a cannabis deficiency chart? I don't want to know. I also think it was also in my related search terms for the channel, which is also pretty cool. The fact that people like they'll watch the video and then they'll search something else, and you can kind of see like where they came from or where they're going afterwards. Like, you can't see who it was, by the way, but you can see like they came from this search term Delta 8 most of the time, and then they left to search for something else, or the related video was something else, and cannabis hypernesis was on there. So I was like, I gotta know more about it. And then I was like, that's that Tucker Carlson video. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. But yeah, you can also see like yeah, there's no search terms for that. But yeah, you can like search up like, oh, not enough data for that one either. Damn. Yeah, here we go. So this is how often people search North Dakota and cannabis. Like, you can see that it's just dead for most of the time. And then people search it a lot. You can take a wild guess of which state they're searching it from. But yeah, so that's kind of like a neat way of figuring out what people are interested in. You can also see like what people search for in North Dakota.
You just reminded me of something completely off topic, but I think is dope as shit. It's a website that tracks like the Aurora Borealis forecast. I don't know why this brought that to mind, but I'm like, I have that fucking link somewhere, and I found it, and I just sent it to you.
Oh, I think yeah. Because North Dakota gets it. Because I'm pretty sure I've seen, like, not super bright. I know it's not like Alaska bright, but pretty sure North Dakota gets it.
I've never seen the Northern Lights in my life. And it's like I live in a place where I know it is visible, but like every time this thing has been like, yeah, there's a lot of solar activity and blah blah blah. Like if you scroll down, there's a little map of the globe, like the top of the globe, where it shows you a little farther down. There you go.
Like where you can see it.
Yep, and then like up there, when you scroll back up a little bit, those show you how well it'd be viewed. So like the blue is like, well, you know, like we're in to where we can see it if it is at a KP5 level.
Oh.
So if it's KP4, then it wouldn't be really visible to us.
Oh, that's what the KP one.
Yeah.
So we can see it right now.
Is it
KP5,
what's it at?
but it's in southern North Dakota.
Well, it's right anywhere here. Between the green and the blue line would be visible at KP5. So technically it should be visible, but every time that there's been like super, like it's really active, it's supposed to be super bright and super visible, and even the news is saying you can see it.
Right.
Every fucking time I either have to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, or I forget, or it's cloudy as shit when I get all excited.
That's another thing is you have to be in a darker area, like a field or something, right?
Yeah, and let me look up something real quick here. The solar minimum. What cycle are we?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know these things.
The sun works on, I'm pretty sure it's an 11-year cycle. And between from 11 years to the next 11 years, it has a minimum and a maximum of activity in that 11-year cycle. And we've been in the minimum, or no, we're heading towards the minimum. But last time it was super active, it was like the Aurora Borealis would have been super visible from here.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of electromagnetic activity.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought auroras were like from, like the light of the moon reflecting on like clouds or something. I don't remember what it was, but like a thinner type of cloud or something.
Not the aurora is you basically being able to see the electromagnetic field.
Oh, really?
In the atmosphere. Yeah, that's why I'm so intrigued, and it came across my mind. I was like, I've never fucking seen this, and I have to. So I told Beth one of these days, next time that it's like when we're getting closer to the next solar maximum,
right.
I told her, like, we have to make a trip and go camping up in northern North Dakota. We're planning a trip. I said it on camera.
Well, yeah, that's the thing that I was actually talking at one point with Shanda, was that like this year we wanted to go camping. We were like thinking of like how we're like where we're going and all that stuff. There's a campground in Grand Forks, but it's kind of like really booked. So we figured like more central and southern North Dakota would have a little bit less people there. Like,
no, I'm talking like I want to find like some actual woods. I don't like campgrounds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I want to go find an actual like middle of fucking nowhere out in the woods, like just actual camping.
Like, okay, I do actual camping, but like a place in the ground to like put a tent and like close to the water type of thing. Like it's just more of a geographical area type of a thing for me. Like,
well,
yeah,
that's
I don't
what
do
I'm saying
glamping,
is I can,
like
I like wooded areas, and I always find a stream, either a stream, creek, offshoot of a river, like a tributary, whatever.
I remember when I was like, I want to say 12 or 14, somewhere in between there. We went up into I think it's called Lake of the Woods, Boundary Waters, Boundary Waters. So like in Minnesota, like by Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that because it was like we got there, and the campground was like in an island type of a thing or something that you had to like canoe there, but like you canoed, you stopped at this place, then you had to walk the canoe over, like what's it called, porting? I think it's called porting, where you like walk it over into the other body of water and then you go over, and then we finally got there. It was awesome, but was out in the middle of nowhere. It was great. I loved it. But I don't know. I prefer, yeah, I like camping, but yeah, as long as it's close to water, it's like you kind of need that. There's
Well, we have a
food,
two-person
shower.
kayak too. That I can. We have a two-person kayak too, which is great because if I want to go for like if Beth goes to see her sister out of state or something like that,
Yeah.
and Walker spends the summer with his mom in Nebraska, so it's like I have sometimes a few days to myself. And I told myself it'd be perfect because I have my bag, I have that two-person kayak. I mean, I can go kayak up the lake or something like that and find
So wait,
a spot
so
where there's
this
not a lot of
goes,
activity.
so the maximum, you said it was 11 years?
Yeah, here, I'll look it
Is
up.
there a way to track it?
Solar, yeah.
Solar, what is this solar?
It's a period of solar activity in 11-year solar cycle. Here we go. I'll send you that. Oh, you already
Oh,
got
it's
it.
an 11-year change.
And the activity of the sun. So when it's at its maximum, that's when there's the most electromagnetic
Oh, but the
activity.
cycle, so the 11 years is when it goes to the max and the minimum.
Yeah.
And everything in between it has like a different, like a drop off, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, yeah, you can see where it's like where it peaks. That's where it was at its maximum for the 11 years, and then it goes to its minimum. And it's just, I'm so intrigued by this shit, and it's like
Right.
I'm so excited because I was telling Beth like I want to go camping again, and it's like if she doesn't want to do it, then it's like I'm gonna go do a couple
Right.
out, and I'm just gonna go find me some fucking woods and disappear for a little while.
Hell yeah. So, okay, I don't know if you know this one. Does, I don't, because this, it was something to do with magnets. I've heard, and I do not know if this is true. Do the polarities change like every few years? Like 10 or
No,
whatever? No?
no.
Okay. I could have sworn
The
that I heard
poles
that from
have flipped
somewhere.
before, but it was before recorded history. The last time that the
Okay.
poles flipped, and we have no idea what's gonna happen with that, like what effect that's gonna have.
That's trippy.
Yeah, it's wild. Like you should. That's
Pretty
another thing
much
you should
over at
Google.
that point, I'm guessing, and just the world ends.
Like when you get done with this, like when we get done recording, I just love we start bullshitting. But
Yeah.
when we get done with this, you should Google that the polls and flipping and shit like that. Like it's kind of scary to read because we're like it's happening right now. We don't know what's gonna happen, but
Oh,
it's
it's
happening.
happening right now?
Oh yeah, there's been a lot of drift of the northern pole.
Polarity change, Earth. The field can even change polarity with the mag north and south. 780,000 years ago. Jesus.
And we have no idea what the effect was on the planet.
Huh. But it just like fixes like global warming. All of a sudden, like, just fixes it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, just everything's just fine. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have. If you like this video, make sure to share it. And if you liked this show and you want more, listen to Radio Free Fargo, KRFF, Radio Free Fargo 95.9, which is Canna-Talk with Wilson in Fargo from 4 to 5 p.m. every Thursday. Otherwise, it will be on the podcasting platforms of your choice. So on, why am I doing it on this one? So if you're on like Apple or Google, just look at your podcasting platform on your phone, or you can just literally Google Canna-Talk ND podcast, and it'll pop up. We're actually the we're also on Spotify, and actually that's like who our provider is Spotify. So what did even happen? Talk ND podcast. I haven't even searched this. I have the search term. Okay, so it just shows all of the podcast platforms. So this is all of the places that we are. We're on like literally everything. Uh, Spotify is kind of where our main stay is, but Podcast Apple, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, um, Anchor FM. Listen Notes is actually a new thing that we just recently started. Um, where all of the episodes are transcribed by me, I guess. AKA I have beta access to Adobe Transcribe. So I can transcribe everything and get rid of the word cannabis in it, and just type in weed. And then YouTube is like, I believe you. It's essentially what happens. But yeah, listen to KRFF Radio Free Fargo 95.9 on Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. or listen on your podcasting platform of choice. Again, it will be we're gonna aim for the Fridays still. I'm really gonna try that because I just kind of like that layout, like the day next of type of a thing, rather than waiting 2 days. But shit happens, so we'll kind of be able to tell when I actually do it for the first few times. But yeah, my name is Phil.
I'm Anthony.
And this has been Cannaheads. We will see you guys next time. And see how I didn't say a date. I'm going to try my best to do another one, but like next week type of a thing. But again, I'm kind of getting things ready and life. So this is my treading water type of a thing to cut the recording. Shit, actually, I should keep it going because I need to transcribe. All right. I'll see you guys next time. And if you're not subscribed, sub to the channel. And join us at Canna-Talk ND.com to get right to the station, or right to the YouTube. And yeah. All right. Boy, if I can grab the thing.
Wrapped in different sheets. I'm fired up, sweating when I think of you.